Watches Wrestling, New Japan Pro Wrestling, New Japan Cup 2020 review, quarterfinals, semifinals. Is it gonna focus? Right as the music hits, come on. Yes. Thanks for joining. Here we go. Pow. I did it there. Welcome to I Watch Wrestling. That's stupid, I shouldn't say that. Welcome to Weston Watches Wrestling. This is your review for New Japan Cup 2020 quarterfinals and semifinals. Both of these shows for me are my two favorite shows so far of the tournament. And this tournament overall has been really strong, but both of these nights are a solid like 8 to 9 out of 10 shows for me. They just went by really quick. And the quarterfinal show had one really amazing match, and both of the semifinal matches delivered for me exactly what they needed to do. So I really enjoyed it. This whole tournament has been amazing. It's probably my favorite New Japan Cup. It could just be because I missed New Japan so much and during COVID, but now that it's back, at least for me, they're coming back strong, and they've really delivered with every show. So if you liked one of the previous shows more than either of these shows, I totally get it. But for me, as the tournament's progressed, it's just gotten stronger and stronger. So I'll start match 1 of the quarterfinals, Ishii versus Oromo. This was exactly what you probably expected it would be. Just two guys who just want to get in and fight and hit each other, going at it hard and fast from the beginning. Oromo came out of the gates and was laying in strikes and really probably had the most offense of the match, but Ishii was standing strong, and it didn't seem to be really like shaking him or breaking into his armor at all until 10 to 15 minutes into the match. There was just a moment where things shifted, and you could tell that Hiromu's offense was really starting to be felt by Ishii. And yeah, he sold it progressively. He would reverse, go for a brainbuster multiple times, but never was able to hit one. Hiromu running Death Valley Driver into the corner, and then the time bomb for one of the better near falls in a while that I can remember. Ishii kicks out, and from there I was like, okay, Oromo got his near fall on this established heavyweight. This is where they put him back in his place. Ishii's gonna end up winning this, but they subverted my expectations. And the reason that near fall worked so well is because I had forgotten about this move that he hit next. He hit the reverse DDT side of his body time bomb ultimate death drop, and yeah, that was the end for Ishii. Once he started picking up for that, I was like, okay, I forgot this is a thing. That makes sense that he kicked out. And yeah, put Ishii away. It was an incredible match. One of the few matches that sometimes when a match, I love an epic 30-40 minute match, but sometimes those matches can drag for like the first 20 minutes. But this was, I think, just under 20 minutes, just over 20 minutes. And from bell to bell, I was engaged. The whole story of the match felt relevant. It never felt like they were just wasting energy or wasting time or wasting movement. So I loved it. For me, like I said, match of the tournament, match of the year contender. I think with the crowd it'd be 5 stars, and I'm trying not to let that get to me too much, but I just can't quite give it that 5 stars, so I'm going 4 3/4. But if you give it 5 stars, or if you give it maybe a little bit lower than me, I get it. But for me, it's just not quite 5 stars, because I just think in front of a crowd, 5 more minutes, I just don't think it was perfect. And unless I feel like a match was perfect, I don't want to give it that 5 stars. But super incredible match, like definitely something you can't miss if you're a fan of New Japan, especially if you're a fan of either of these guys. Like, two of my favorite wrestlers going at it. It was a dream match, and it was so cool to see, and I hope it's not the last time we're going to see it. Moving on to the next quarterfinal match, we had Okada versus Taiji Ishii. This is a match where I was kind of confused about what I wanted from it, because part of me wanted Taiji to stand up to Okada and fight him one-on-one clean, but if Ishii did that, it would never be believable that he could ever possibly pick up the win. So when Gedo came out, I had mixed feelings about this. Kind of sucks because we're not going to get like these two incredible in-ring workers just going at it, having this epic, like really high-quality clash, because it was getting dumbed down by Gedo being out there. But it also made it just a little bit more tense and a little bit more engaging, because it actually felt like Ishii had a chance with Gedo out there interfering. So it was definitely a solid match. Okada, the finishes to Okada's match up into the semifinals have all been really sudden with that Cobra Clutch Anaconda Vice thing that he's been doing. But yeah, I think like 3 stars, 2 3/4 stars. I'll go 2 3/4 stars. I think it definitely could have been a lot better. It under-delivered for me quite a bit. But a solid match. Just they were kind of between a rock and the hard place. Between, are we going to make it believable for Ishimori to win, or are we going to let them go out there and have the match that they can't have? So no doubt that they could have delivered more, but I get why they did it. So 2 3/4 stars. Next, we had Sanada versus Taichi. This was a match that Next, we had Next, we had Taichi versus Sanada. This was a match that I didn't have much expectations for. I love Taichi. I'm really into everything that he's doing right now, and I'm mixed on Sanada. But so if this was like a regular match on a card that was for a title or had some sort of implications, I think I would have been more invested from the start. But for me, just going into the match, I couldn't shake the feeling that it was like, there's 0 chance Taichi's going to win this. It just makes more sense with Evil moving on, which I'll get to that in a second. But with Evil moving on, to have Sanada versus Evil, just Evil versus Taichi, isn't a match that made sense to me. And from the beginning of the tournament, I thought whoever came out of that half of that quarter, so I guess that 1/8 of the bracket, was going to make it to the quarters and then fall, because it was all about setting up that tag match, and that was done. Taichi had gotten his wins over both of the Golden Aces, and but as the match went on, I think they really delivered, and Sanada's offense started clicking, and that continued into the semifinals, which I'll get to. But Sanada really seemed to be running on all cylinders, and Taichi was brought out a little bit of dangerous tea mixed with some shenanigans, and they really convinced me at points that Taichi might have a chance to take it. But in the end, Sanada wins, and it definitely exceeded my expectations. They sucked me into the match some, and I dropped a lot of my preconceived notions about the way it was going to finish just because of the way the match played out. But yeah, in the end, the expected outcome happened. Sanada won with a Japanese clutch. And that was it. I'll go 3 3/4 stars. I thought it was one of the stronger tournament matches, but like not up there in the upper tier with like the Shingo Show and the Nagata Suzuki, the Ishii Oromo matches. But definitely worth checking out if you have the time. Finally, Evil versus Yoshihashi. This was like 2 minutes. I'm not going to talk about it too long, but it was definitely super effective. I think that if they would have went out there and had like a 10-15 minute match, it just would have been pointless. We all knew that Evil was going to win here, especially with him establishing this new like extra evil character in the previous match. He attacks Yoshihashi before the bell, and I think he won with the sharpshooter. It was some sort of submission hold on the knee. Like 2 minutes into the match, he was just abusing that leg, and it was Yoshihashi never had a chance. And I thought it was with the story that they're clearly starting to tell with Evil, this was perfect. I know a lot of people like to give to matches like this, they just like to say no rating, but I think it was super effective, and I want to give every match a rating, so I'm going 3.5 stars on this. Like, definitely, it could have been maybe a little bit more interesting if Yoshihashi might have fought back for a second, but in the end, I think exactly what I wanted to accomplish it did, and Evil came out of that match looking strong, and I was like, okay, maybe our idea that Sanada was going to run to the final, I feel like most people thought that. Maybe this was Evil's tournament, and it's turning out that seems to be the case, but I'll get to that in a second. Then, so the semifinals were set up. The first semifinal match, Sanada versus Evil, and then on the left side, Hiromu versus Okada. So Sanada versus Evil went on first, so I'll talk about that match first. I think this was around 20 minutes. Really great back and forth. Another match that held my attention from bell to bell. Just because of like the history between the two of them, obviously. Like, you're going to be invested. And in the back of my head the whole time, I was like, man, Evil's really going to go through with this, and he's going to do this whole this actually being evil thing to Sanada, and it's going to be really interesting and really amazing, but also heartbreaking and hard to watch. And even though I knew it was coming, they go back and forth. There's a nasty botch. Sanada seemed to be okay. I haven't checked anything extra yet, but he seemed to be okay in the moment. He got up and did a moonsault afterwards. So that botch was a little scary. It might have taken away from the match a little bit, but it actually ended up playing into the story of the match. So as long as Sanada's okay, I'm not going to take points away from the match from it. So yeah, they go back and forth. Sanada hits this botch, and then the tides turn pretty quickly. Evil throws Sanada into the ref. Ref rolls to the outside. Sanada low blows him, and then gets the chair, puts it on Sanada's head, which my theory is that that was totally spontaneous. I don't think that was written into the match. I just think Evil knew, okay, Sanada took this scary bump. All the fans are going to be thinking he's hurt. And it definitely could have been a part of the story, but for me, I just think they already did the chair spot on the outside. It seemed to me like something extra that they've thrown in, but it was super smart. And I loved it. He put the chair on Sanada's neck, and baseball swinged it, hit the home run off. And at that point, I was like, okay, I know it was part of it was reassuring because, like, all right, I feel like that's confirming that Sanada is okay. But it was also like within the story, I was like, oh gosh, like Evil's taking this too far. And if that wasn't enough, Evil stomped on the you know whats, and that was the end. The you know whats, you heard me. The ref rolled back in the ring. Everything is evil, and that was the end of the match. So, yeah, hard to watch. Especially, I've been such a huge fan of their tag team and their tag team matches over these past few years, and it just kind of feels like I know Lij has had some infighting in the past, and they shake it off in the end, like within some G1s. But this feels like Evil might have gone too far. I don't know if Sanada's going to be able to forgive him. I think this could be the end of Lij as we know it. But we're getting an Evil push, so I'm not going to complain too much. It just is a lot to take in at once. For the match, 4 stars. I was super entertained throughout. The botch kind of messed up the pacing of the match a little bit, and then the ending wasn't anything super dramatic or back and forth, but it was really effective, and Evil just looks insanely strong and just like he's willing to do whatever he needs to do to win, which is exactly what I think you want out of Evil right now. So yeah, 4 stars for me. Then lastly, a match that is either my second or third favorite match of the tournament so far. It's really, really close. Definitely like Ishii and Hiromu a bit more, but Okada and Hiromu, the story of this match, again, 3 matches on both of these shows that like just held my attention the whole time. This was the third one, the main event of the semifinal night. Okada just had this calmness about him, and he just didn't seem like he was giving Hiromu any credit from the beginning of the match. Okada, his attitude seemed like, all right, I'm going to go out there and get this one in 5 minutes. I'm not going to have to break a sweat. And he just had this whole aura about him that we don't get to see it from Okada too often, but whenever he gets matched up against someone he doesn't think is quite on his level, we get to see that side of him, and it's always really interesting. So I loved to see that. I love to see the different sides of Okada come through every now and then, and Hiromu brought that out of him hard, which I loved. So Okada dominates for probably, I didn't look up the match time, I think this was also just over 20 minutes, I would guess. But Okada dominates for the first half. And it's just calm, cool, collected. Like, it was almost like, it was kind of weird how slow-paced and just how quiet the match was, because it is a Hiromu match, and Hiromu's usually yelling. Even in these open arena matches, Hiromu's making noise, he's hitting offense fast. He slowed down a little bit for some of these heavyweight matches, but it's still very active, and it feels very involved. But it was just like, all right, this is super one-sided. Please, Hiromu, get a run in. And he ended up fighting back. I think that he turned the tides by dodging a dropkick from Okada and then landing a shotgun dropkick. And from then, Hiromu dominated for the next 7-8 minutes. And it built up to this moment where he went for the time bomb, Okada reversed it, and it started building that epic, just Okada finish that we all love. Okada goes to the Rainmaker, and Hiromu dodges it again, I believe, and hits the time bomb. He reversed and hits his own Rainmaker, which was a really awesome spot, and then he hits the time bomb, which I really thought that was smart, because after Ishii kicked out of the time bomb, of course we're not going to believe it if Okada's going to kick out of the time bomb, or that Okada's not going to kick out of the time bomb. But the fact that Hiromu hit Okada's finisher and then the time bomb, it was like, okay, I'm 50-50, not sure if this is going to be the end or not. It did feel a little bit early for the match to end, but I was definitely bought in, and when Okada kicked out, I was like, okay, he almost had me. But then from there, I think there was another 5 minutes to the match, and it only picked up from there. The interesting thing about the finish is I really thought that Okada was going to try the Cobra Clutch once, Hiromu was going to fight out of it, and then he was going to have to use the Rainmaker. I thought this Cobra Clutch was just a thing to get through the early matches and just make them interesting and make them different and just protect the Rainmaker, keep it hidden for a little while, and also build up this new finisher that Okada could use for believable, like, near finishes. But instead, Okada is determined, I think, because of that pride that Okada has that sometimes can be his downfall. I think he was determined to make Hiromu tap out. That's what he wanted. He wanted to prove Hiromu had fought back, but Okada was like, all right, I still want to prove that this guy's below me, he's beneath me. I don't want to leave any shadow of a doubt. I'm going to make this guy submit to me and give up. So Cobra Clutch, he drops it. Hiromu ends up reversing, I think, a Rainmaker attempt, but quickly Okada hits a spinning tombstone, locks the Cobra Clutch in again, and then lets it go, picks Hiromu up, hits 2 Rainmakers, and then locks it in one more time. But I don't think Okada got what he wanted. Hiromu ended up passing out, and that was the match. I really enjoyed this match, this whole match. I think the beginning dragged a little bit. It was just a little slow, but the story that they told was really effective, and I think it was exactly what this match needed to be. We got to see that cocky, prideful side of Okada that's always really interesting to see. And Hiromu, when he did start getting his offense in, it turned into that fast-paced Hiromu match, which we love. We got to see the sunset powerbomb to the outside, which was really awesome. We haven't seen that this tournament yet, but yeah, it was a match that I thought Okada was going to win, but there was definitely a couple times where I was convinced that Hiromu had a chance, and yeah, it didn't disappoint. I'll go 4.5 stars on it. After the match, Okada, I read Chris Charlton's tweets translating Okada's post-match promo, and Okada basically admitted that you showed me the strength of the junior heavyweights. What you were doing are trying to do in this tournament was admirable, but it's not an easy task, and he basically wished him luck in his future. But he did remind him that if he ever does get a shot at the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, it's going to be against him and not Naito. Then Okada calls out Evil, and that's your final, set for next Saturday morning, or wherever you are in the world, next Saturday, Friday. And yeah, I'm super excited for that match. I think Evil Hiromu would have been really interesting, but I get why they don't want to give Hiromu that moment yet. It's all long-term storytelling. They're building to something big and epic for Hiromu, and we're going to get that eventually, I have no doubt. So yeah, overall, both shows, definitely check them out if you have the time. I think front to back, both shows are for sure worth watching. I will see y'all next, or sometime this week, for the Dominion and New Japan Cup Final preview. Hopefully we'll get cards for that. I don't know if they're going to announce the cards beforehand or if they're going to announce them night of like they've been doing. Hopefully we'll get cards so we can talk about it. If not, I'll still come on and have a preview video and just talk about my thoughts about what could go down. And also be looking out for part 3 of the top 30 rivalries of the last 3 years of New Japan. Until then, love y'all, appreciate y'all, peace out.